Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. We have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's going to be another bot author recommended replay. You guys have been sending me your replays of working hard on your bots, and I'm happy to show them off. So, we've got BotTato in the upper left, a Terran bot that's made a lot of progress. It wasn't that long ago that it was pretty low on the ladder, but now it's doing well. And taking on BotTato is Saimon, a ZERG bot that I don't know too much about, but we'll check it out. And look under the hood maybe a little bit, although I guess not. Looking under the hood of a bot would be like looking at its code. Not going to do that. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this match, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. Alternatively, let me know in the comments down below whether you'd prefer if I shaved off the first minute or two of the casts. Someone told me that someone left a comment saying that some YouTubers actually cut off the start of a game because it improves their YouTube analytics. Because I guess a lot of people don't want to sit through an intro of Starcraft 2 where they've seen everything sort of time and time again. But honestly, it's just 2 minutes in a cheesy game type thing. So it's if I literally cut off 2 minutes in some games, we'd be nearing the end with some proxies or rushes. So I don't know. That's just something to consider in the game that is the YouTube algorithm. And of course, subscribe if you guys haven't already. I put up daily videos here on the channel. Bots, and more bots. Then consider becoming a YouTube member, or if that's not something supported in your region, there is a PayPal link down below for those of you interested. But on with the show. See, that was just 2 minutes of intro, yammering on a little bit about the bots, and now we're getting some action as the Reaper micro takes place, almost getting a drone right out the gate, as the Reaper micro of BotTato is being tested. And so far it passes as it gets on out. Oh my gosh, I totally just jinxed that Reaper. Oh no, I was like, it's fine, it got off the creep, there's no way this thing's gonna die, and then womp womp. So that's a bit unfortunate. BotTato does get revenge in that it actually hunts down an overlord of Saimon, which is quite nice. And then what do we have? We have a third base going up for the ZERG already. So Saimon going to have a good economy. The Roach Warren's already out, so it will have the means of production if it needs. And then just BotTato chilling at home as the bot goes about just getting those workers doing some long distance mining, which is something that I'm a big fan of. And then they'll be able to get right to work as that command center finishes up. Bunker at the natural base for BotTato. This is a Terran staple. When it comes to programming a Terran bot, you don't want to die to early cheeses, and using a repair mechanic plus a bunker is a very good defense that can hold off a lot of things. So BotTato in no danger this game, I'd say. Saimon has kind of got a license to drone too, as there's not that much going on. So you know what, I'll just go ahead and pull up these bots' profiles here, read their descriptions. If you're a bot author, I do recommend you, well, I'm not going to say I recommend. Please leave a description for your bots. I want to read the nice things you write about your projects and learn more about them. Let's just see. BotTato. Apparently I can't spell BotTato. Just one moment. I'm just checking the ranking too. So Saimon's in Division 3. BotTato is in Division 2. And yes, let's see here. The ZERG really is droning up a lot. This is making me... This is almost feeling a little bit like Eris in that it did go for that very quick third hatchery and is just being incredibly greedy with that speed mining. There is a notable gas bank for the ZERG right now, so that's maybe not ideal if you are just trying to rush up the best economy as possible. 2 Evo chambers do go up. Drones still being produced. Holy cow, this economy is really taking off. Terran just cannot compete when it comes to worker production due to just the nature of 1 by 1 out of a command center. However, mules help even things up a little bit. And the 3rd CC is going up. I guess ZERG does kind of benefit from that in regards to the speed mining because they are the race that gets up the 3rd base the quickest. And look at this, Saimon just pulling in a ridiculous amount of money already thanks to the speed mining on these 3 bases. I think we're actually a little oversaturated here based on looking at this, though. Yeah, there is 20 drones mining on this base. I believe for optimal speed mining, you only need 16, unless I'm mistaken. It may be different on some maps as far as the patches go, but let's check the main. Yeah, so Saimon actually is a little bit oversaturated on some of its bases. Maybe that's just because the 4th base isn't done yet and it's already made some more drones. So we'll pay attention to see whether some of those get transferred off there or not. And it looks like they already have, actually. So that is good to see. The creep is spreading for the ZERG already. And then we have got, yeah, just 4 bases fully saturated 6 minutes into the game. That is just so scary. The ZERG, when it decides to start making units, is going to be able to make exactly that. A lot of units. We're also getting a little bit of harassment going towards the 3rd of BotTato. The Lings aren't immediately attacking, but there they go. They get after it. SCVs are scrambling for BotTato, running for safety, and it does look like BotTato responds pretty quickly. However, I think the Terran bot is either going to really need to hunker down here or get aggressive in the next moment, because Saimon is on 80 drones, so it can just begin producing a ton of units. We're getting a 5th base going up already. 1-1 upgrades are on the way for the ZERG as well, so it will be able to make some very beefy roaches. Meanwhile, BotTato is investing in 4 missile turrets. It's actually got 2 going up next to each other, which is interesting. I'm not sure that's something I've seen before, or can think of a reason why you'd put 2 missile turrets right next to each other. But I guess it's better than no missile turrets. Or is it? Because those are expensive, and it's going to have to try and compete with this ZERG economy. 3rd base of BotTato is being harassed again. Auto turret got thrown down, but the Lings are long gone. Interesting pathing by Saimon's Lings, but they do get in there, and yeah, just showing us that this bot does have some advanced behavior. And here we go. Roaches without speed are moving across the map towards the 4th base of BotTato. This is a very important location. I gotta say, these things are comically slow without their roach speed off of creep, but we'll see whether they can actually get anything done. There is 1-1 upgrades done for the roaches. There is burrow and tunneling claws as well, so they can retreat. BotTato, though, is no rookie. It's got a Raven to reveal these burrowed units, which is massively important. The Terran is getting a 5th base up. I do like how the 4th is a planetary, and that will probably help against future harassment. Saimon does end up going home, though, and holy cow, someone needs to put a drone limiter in this bot, as Saimon is up to 114 drones in this game. Its income is just ridiculous. Somehow it's not maxed out with this many drones, as its army is still relatively small, but it's building even more. Oh my gosh, that is too many drones. I think the absolute max amount of workers a ZERG should have in a game is 100, arguably 90 or less. But Saimon's going to try. It's going to trade out against BotTato. It shouldn't have a problem replacing units that it loses, as long as it does stop building drones. We are getting infestors on the way now. Lings being produced, but Saimon doesn't actually have much of an army at all, as this ZERG has gone up to 132 drones. And now it's making a few roaches, some hydras. It's getting up all the tech. 2-2 on the way is quite nice. However, BotTato has a much larger army and is just pushing in. Okay, maybe this is why Saimon has produced a lot of drones, so they can just die, as the ZERG is now knocked down to only 112, which is disastrous. And let's see, roaches just skirmishing here still. That Raven worth its weight in gold, revealing the burrowed roaches, as Saimon is afraid to take this engagement. We are getting more hatcheries going up all over the place in this game, as Saimon kind of expands all over the map. BotTato's tanks are a little disjointed from its main army, but it can probably just keep pushing. For now, there is 4 infestors out. They are building up energy. This will be a very big test for Saimon, though. as it is, yeah, gonna have to use those spells. Upgrades are looking really good with the 2-2 done for the ZERG, so any fight, the trade should at least be decent, unless it's like 3 roaches running in one at a time, which is not good. There's the rest of them coming on in. A pretty good timing for the ZERG to jump on top. This Queens are coming too. Saimon does commit into this. Roaches just pathing on top of the Marines. Transfuses being utilized during this. The movements are a little bit odd, but it's not a bad trade for the ZERG. It would be pretty hard to take a bad trade with 2-2 against just +1. As the Marauder goes down, more units are being produced by Saimon. It's got only 87 drones, as it has lost a significant amount. Some Hydras are hitting this planetary, though, which is not ideal. They need to get defending. At some point, BotTato killed this hatchery here with some Banshees, so the Terran's army is pushing on in. We get neural parasites on the Medivac. A Medivac healing a Hydra. That's not something I think I've ever seen. Holy smokes, that's very cool. And cool to see that Saimon is using Neural Parasite. Fungal might do good in this situation, but for now, the ZERG does need to kind of group up a little bit because its army is just trickling in against these tanks, against the little bit of bio that BotTato has. Saimon is actually going in for a counterattack. It is moving towards the exposed third base. I do hear another Neural Parasite going on during that. However, I look back and there's no ZERG to be seen. So a lot of stakes are riding on this counterattack for Saimon. BotTato's SCVs are like, oh, this is not good, as the Roaches take the long way around. And it does look like the Terran may actually be pulling back to respond to this. So Saimon buys itself some very important time, but compared to how the game was looking at the start with the sort of runaway drone train, things are not looking as well, as BotTato does have its 6 base going up, and that's more than enough bases for the Terran to match the ZERG in production. And so Saimon's just going to have to hope for a miracle. It's going to have 3-3 done. That's going to be quite nice. BotTato's still a little bit away from 2-2. We are getting lurkers added into the mix, which could be nice. That's not a bot unit we see a lot of. Roaches coming on in. Will they dive on top of this tank? They run by it, and then they die. They're at least buying a bit of time. But I mean, the ZERG bot is only on 74 drones compared to the 132 it had earlier. And then we have got more Lings, actually, this time going in for a counterattack. They do keep pulling BotTato back, which is keeping the heat off of Saimon, which is now getting up to 170 supply. Its actual army value will be much bigger than before, seeing as how it does have fewer drones. Neural Parasite grabs a random Viking. I guess the ZERG doesn't actually have much anti-air. Unfortunate that it is burning these spells on something like a single unit here. I'm not sure how you'd sort of not allow that to happen. Saimon, though, will be on the defense as it's got to respond to BotTato. Stepping on creep once more. There is lurkers. They definitely are an underexplored unit in these bot games. For now, though, we see BotTato with a massive bio ball hitting this gold base, gonna gut that completely. Drones, I think we're trying to fight there, but they just die. Looks like there is another Roach counterattack heading towards the exposed third base, which is good to see, and this will pull BotTato back. It's going to be a lot of losses for the ZERG, and for some reason, Saimon seems to just want to path towards the back of the base or something like that. I don't know why. The army movement is a little bizarre by this Terran. It's literally like a worm, the way these Roaches are moving. And we see they're not attacking on every step either, as Marines are getting free shots on them, so something is seriously wrong here for Saimon. BotTato comes on in. The Roaches, they're trying to shoot some SCVs, and yeah, just if they were moving and shooting, they'd be getting much more damage and a much better trade done. Still, though, the ZERG does have opportunity here to come back. It's got a ridiculous amount of lurkers. It's got infestors that are grabbing enemy Banshees, although some of the infestors are killing off the Banshees, which is not great. One Queen has a lot of work to do to kill off these Banshees. The ZERG is going for an attack. A refinery dies. Meanwhile, lurkers are moving towards the north. If they can siege in a good position, that could get lots of damage done, but I think they're following the same logic as the derpy Roaches, as these lurkers try and run on in. Meanwhile, the assault at this base, it's actually not looking too bad. These seismic spines are doing very well. And where is that Raven? The answer is it's back at the third, trying to deal with these lurkers, and that's kind of the pain of relying just on one lurker for detection. or one Raven, pardon me. We do actually get a second in response by BotTato. I'm wondering if that's literally a response to these lurkers and needing detection in multiple places. If so, that's very, very impressive. I would love to see a scan in this situation, though, as these lurkers are just butchering the Terran's army. This refinery is going to go down. Fortunately, the lurkers are out of range from this planetary for now, other than just the refinery here, but one lurker's still disrupting this third base. A Hellion can't deal with that. BotTato is in a little bit of trouble as its army flip-flops back and forth, but this is buying the ZERG lots of time just to, well, keep mining, basically. I can't say grow its economy because it really is just chilling with the 72 drones it's got. There we go. As I say that, it has fired up 6 more. For now, though, the Terran is just moving across the map, going for a counterattack. These lurkers are harassing a little bit. Two of them unburrow. There's the rest of them unburrowing to come join this fight. There is Infestors. Neural Parasite grabbing Banshees, grabbing all the Banshees, as BotTato's own Banshees are now the enemy. Viking shooting them down. That's actually a very good situation for Saimon. Lurkers coming in, sieging up behind these tanks. Is there a Raven on deck? Yes, but it's too far forward, and so the lurkers are getting on top of some of these very high value tanks, as yeah, the Raven's just not in position right now, helping hunt down the creep, but that's not the main threat. So Saimon is able to hold off this Terran army, at least momentarily. More lurkers coming on in. The ZERG's composition is really cool to see. BotTato as well with its tanks inching forward. It's got a really nice siege tank count, 9 in total. And then the Terran's adding on more supply. These bases are starting to mine out in this game, though. And looks like Saimon is losing a very critical location. A lurker does burrow to help defend this. However, there is a Raven to actually reveal this one. It's still getting an okay trade before it dies, I think. But yeah, Saimon in a little bit of trouble here. It's got 7 Infestors, 10 lurkers, a very formidable army. Just the fights, I don't think, have been good enough for the ZERG. They've been nice, but nothing perfect. The lack of fungal growth, I think, is a bit of a lost opportunity. The lurkers are now just shooting their spines off at the bio units of BotTato, showing how lethal they can be. Banshees keep getting knurled. The Banshee shoots down a Marauder, as the ZERG is just on the defense, but lurkers are pretty darn good when it comes to the defense. Neural Parasites keep going down. Queens off of creep, trying to bolster this army. It's a bit of a stalemate, though. We've got siege tanks and lurkers, two units that can't really engage each other easily. The Ravens for BotTato are doing a phenomenal job revealing these lurkers as they run forward, though, and then Saimon just takes a very, very poor trade as BotTato is able to maintain this position. Reinforcements are still coming on in. The map is covered in creep. There's still random lurkers all over the place. Saimon just doesn't have that much left. We also have got some lurkers that are kind of derping out hard. I'm not sure all the lurkers were here for this fight, but for now, Saimon, yeah, it's in trouble. Resources lost is 19,000 to 40,000 in favor of the Terran. And we even see BotTato taking this gold-based Saimon, trying to rebuild a hatchery, so very good redundancy from both of these bots. There's a lot of things they're both doing very well, and they seem to be a really good batch for each other. As these lurkers move forward, they're sieging up once again. The bio takes the brunt of it, but there's nothing really to respond to the Banshees, to respond to the tanks. The lurkers don't cut it when it comes to neural parasiting the Banshees, as, yeah, BotTato is pushing forward. Raven revealing the lurkers so the Banshees can just keep firing away. We're getting ghosts added in the mix for the Terran. A good chunk of bio. The bio does just keep dying. Although I think those units, are they actually trying to dodge the lurker spines? It does look like it. Look at that micro from BotTato, as we do see the units sort of trying to path around the lurker spines, I think. But look at that, the lurkers do end up going down. I'm not sure where the infestors are, but they're just chilling, a little unsure of what to do. Saimon down to 160 supply. It can't really afford to lose this base at this stage in the game. Neural Parasite's going down. We do get a fungal growth dropped. A Raven gets taken, and killing off the Ravens would be very nice for Saimon. However, there's multiple out for BotTato. The lurkers just can't really attack into the siege tanks, and the Terran holds the position still. Again, lurkers are very strong Zerg units. I think they are underexplored in bot games, so it's nice to see Saimon using them. However, as far as like things to do, I really think like single lurker harassment would be quite nice. Maybe just spreading them out a little bit more, something like that. Because I think they're a very good unit that can be used to potentially bug out your opponent. Trying to just group them up, it's like, okay, they might be good in some situations, but not every situation. Whereas if there was just random lurkers planted around the map, I think they could find some good opportunity and value there, particularly if they cause your opponent's bot to bug out, which I think they very well could. Cloaked units are hard to deal with. Now, Vikings just shooting away. We are getting another Overseer getting shot down there. And holy cow, holy tanks for Saimon, as there is a whopping 15 tanks out for the Red Terran. Lurkers are chilling. But, yeah, a slow death for Saimon at this point. I think I will give their descriptions a little read. BotTato, programmed by DogTato, a Python bot created September 7th, 2024. So it is an older project, but it has been, well, relatively older, but it has been getting lots of development lately, and that's why it is looking this good. And then we have got Saimon with no description. It's a Zerg Python bot created the 13th of February, 2025. So not a relatively new bot. Both of these are. And they are very impressive projects for the amount of time they've been around. Lots of depth to the two bots, and I look forward to seeing more of them. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy this botcast, click that like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, the links for that are down below. Yeah, let me know if you want to see more of these two, as I do enjoy casting the sort of lower level bots, but ultimately I do cast what you guys want to see the most of. I think this is a great example of how lower level games can still be very close and very good. Lots of dynamics at play here that have been fun to see. We saw a lot of units. I think the only thing Saimon may be missing is maybe like some corruptors or something to help with the anti-air. Maybe Broodlord tech. Broodlords are phenomenal. All in all, really well done by these bots. Little thing for BotTato is that it does have some Hellions caught in here. That's not great. But, yeah. Overall, a fairly bug-free game as well. Saimon fighting to the bitter end. It shall not be able to come back from this position. I think the drones were a little overkill for Saimon too. I'm glad it didn't just keep trying to build drones back up to 132, and that it did eventually switch to, well, it did prioritize army and didn't just rebuild the drones every time, which was very nice, but then it did still rebuild some drones at some point, rebuild hatcheries, so pretty good economic management from both of these bots. BotTato, gotta kill all the creep, as you do. And there we go. The drones go for one last hurrah. GG.